So if you've made it this far into this video, just understand that we're not condoning the use of drugs. We're just explaining
No, we're telling
how we
you.
have used it. It's actually fucked up for you to use drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers. Are you drinking beers? I'm drinking coffee right now. I smoked a ton of weed earlier today, and I
Dude, I
think
was just about.
that's what we were getting at today. So like, yeah, I'm a little bit stupid-eyed at the fucking moment, and I'm probably gonna ramble a fair amount. But today we're
Good.
gonna be talking about drugs. Okay, everybody. So let's
Yes.
just get right into it. The very first time that I smoked weed, I was 12 years old, and there was this black girl who has been expelled from several different elementary schools, and we were in grade 7. And she came up, we met at Kilmer Park, and she was like, "You want to smoke some weed?" And of course, like, no girl wanted to hang out with me at the time, so I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll smoke weed with you." And like North Vancouver, that's where I'm from. There's nothing but white folks and Asian people who want to be white folks, right? So having a
Right.
black chick come in, right, that was kind of neat. You know, not to be racially prejudiced or anything, but this was in the 90s when you were allowed to say black guy and not piss anybody off. So I met this black chick there and we smoked it. I didn't really get very high. The first couple of times I smoked it, I didn't get high because I wasn't really doing it the right way, I don't think. It took me
Right.
until grade 9, which was 14 years old, science class. We skipped it. And me and my buddy Mike, we smoked a ton of weed for the entire hour. And that was the first time I got stoned. And
Nice.
I remember being like, do I gotta pee? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think things were a little different, right? And the first munch out ever was at McDonald's. And I think I went through $30 that day in McNuggets and different sauces, and we invented the McAwesome at that point, which is you take the cheeseburger and the McChicken and you squish them together and put fries into it, and then you put the nugget sauce on. It's disgusting, right? But it's
Yeah.
awesome at the time, and that was that one, man. How about you? That was the
Yeah.
first time you smoked weed?
It's a funny story. Actually, it's pathetic, but funny. I wasn't treated very, very humanely by my father or my stepfather,
Yeah, yeah,
and up until 10th grade, I was actually an honor student, right?
okay.
I was a band geek in every sense of the word. I played in marching band, pep band, all that
Yeah.
shit. But I was famous for drinking, you know. So whenever the
You were
cool
famous
guys,
for drinking in high school.
yeah, at my age, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
famous for the
High
saying
school
there
fame.
was
You were
the,
the beer guy.
the saying no, even better. The
Yeah.
saying in my neighborhood when they had a party with booze was, if it doesn't taste good, give it to Bob, he'll drink anything. And so I used to get a lot of free booze. But anyhow, so there would be nights where like I do a pep band game or a marching band competition up in LA, and I wouldn't get home till late at night. And every time I got home late at night, I was sober. But my stepfather always accused me of doing drugs. You're doing drugs, you're a drug addict. But I wasn't. But anyhow,
Yeah.
so one day I just said, well, it's just like a wife accusing you of cheating for 15 years. Eventually, you're just gonna go fuck somebody.
Yeah.
So I just like,
Yeah.
you know what? He thinks I'm doing it.
You
Might
may as well.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was a park across the street where all the stoners, and I was like, in those days, it wasn't segregated, but we all, music wasn't as unified as it is now. Like
Yeah, music was
R&B,
music then. Yeah.
R&B guys listen to R&B, heavy
Yeah.
metal guys listen to heavy metal, hair metal guys listen, punk rock. There was no mixing.
The hair metal guys would blow each other in the back of their mom's caravan.
Yeah. But I was allowed to mingle with everyone, even the athletes, because I was a musician, and people like that. So I just went across the street to the park where the stoners would jump over the fence. They had this canyon, and they get high, and I'm just like, let me get high, and they were all shocked. They're like, Bob, you're a straight dude. I'm like, fuck it, that asshole thinks I'm getting high anyway. So I did. So it was one of those things where I really kind of that new stoner guy where guys were cracking jokes that have been smoking weed for a couple years now and would laugh at the jokes. And I would sit there, and about 3 minutes later, I'd get the joke and start laughing. And everybody's looking at me like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, didn't you just tell a joke? And they're like,
Yeah,
dude,
like,
that was 5 minutes ago. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's the stoner delay. You get that on a lot of things and shit.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get it on traffic lights, you're totally fine.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, the best high I had was before I joined the Army. I used to have this friend. She's a female. She was from New York, and she was Italian. And her dad was in the Navy and moved into our neighborhood. And anyway, she dated this Mexican gangster from East Side San Diego. Every time they got in a fight, she would come hang out with me, me and my friends, to get away from him. He didn't live in our neighborhood. Well, one day, it was about 3 weeks before I was going away. She shows up in my house. She's like, yeah, me and my boyfriend got in a fight. And he locked all my clothes in his car. Now, his car's parked in the gang neighborhood. Now, the guy I'm with, he's kind of doesn't give a fuck about anything. And she goes, he's got a safe. He's got a safe. If you break in the car and get my clothes, you can have whatever in the safe. And we're like, cool, dude. So in broad daylight, we drive down there, we find his car, we break the back window, get all our shit, we grab the safe and just take off like a bat out of hell.
Of course.
Well, when we get, San Diego's a pretty big city. When we get far enough away where we know ain't no one looking for us, we open up the safe and it was a brown grocery bag full of weed.
Fantastic.
And what we said was, this is literally what we said. We'll smoke a little and sell some. Now,
okay.
I think we smoked it all. I mean, we were so high the 2 weeks before I went to the Army that we would call our local pizza place, give him the address, and all he would say is, same order? We're like, yep. We go, all right, we'll be there in 20 minutes. Click.
Nice.
That's it, man.
Now, weed's changed a lot since then, man. Weed's a lot fucking stronger nowadays, especially in Vancouver, at least, right? And I started playing this place called it was above the Amsterdam Cafe. It's called the Vapor Lounge. And Tommy Chong would go there, and it was Mark Emery's big hangout. Mark Emery's the guy who got busted for selling the seeds over the border to America for so long. And I played there every Tuesday. And I got brought in by this little crazy biker guy who's like the big drug dealer dude for Vancouver. And we made Yeti together. But before that happened, he started just like trying to buddy up with me. I would get free tastings, right? Like a gram of this, gram of that, right? And would turn into like a quarter ounce after he joined my band and shit. And at some point there, I started realizing it was actually stronger than alcohol because, I could get blackout drunk and get my car home some days, but I couldn't do that with weed. With some of that shit that he was giving me. I remember putting it in the bowl, being like, I'm going to go to the beach this morning. It's fucking 10 a.m. We get up early. I'm going to fucking smoke a bong hit, get out to the beach. It's going to be fucking awesome by 11, right? Fucking smoke it up. I get down the hill like 5 minutes and I got to pull over to the road and pull over to the side of the road and take a nap. Like that shit is hard. And if you've seen this shit now they're making more than weed. Now it's like, and I'm not complaining about this at all. I love it, right? But they make the hash and the oil out of it now, right? They used to do that too, back old school, back in the day, right? But nowadays they take the strong weed and condense that. And I remember meeting this dude named Johnny, and he's like the biggest hippie crackhead who wasn't on crack that you've ever met. And he's like, he calls my buddy, because I hadn't met him yet. He said, come on down to the park. I'm going to show you guys how to make oil. And we're like, all right. So we drive on down there, and driving towards it, we see this pillar of fire and this guy trying to put it out with the top of a fucking lid, trying to put the fucking stuff out. It's still smoldering. It's still hot. He's picking it up in a barbecue, like a charcoal kind of barbecue. And he was squirting WD-40 or isopropanol into it to burn off all the fucking weed. He picks up the fucking thing, the barbecue, while it's still hot, runs across the field to where his van is. We stop in front of his van. We're like, hey, dude, hey, what's going on? He's like, go, boys, go, go, go. Opens it up. Guy's like 56 years old. Throws his burning barbecue with hash in it into the back of the van, gets in, and we drive up and into the fucking forest. We get into the forest. He's following us, and he's going like 120K in this shitty cargo van. right? Like the rapist movie, right? The big white van with a
Yeah,
dog and a
windowless
mattress in the back, right? One of the windows has duct tape over it, or not even the duct tape, that brown shitty cellophane looking tape that you put
yeah.
on brown fucking boxes, right? And it goes into that fucking place, takes it out, and we smoked oil for the first time. And that was my first time smoking oil. And that guy's still doing shit, but he's like one of those dudes who told me there's other ways to get high off of weed. You
Right.
don't just smoke it and stuff. Like, what do you mean? You can eat it. Like, yeah, brownies, whatever. That gets you fucked up. Or, right? Or you can stick it up your ass. And we were like,
Oh,
like, no, you can't fucking take a whole bud and stick it up your ass. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You don't.
yeah.
What you do is you fucking make the hash, and he makes a little cigarette or a little cigar, puts it up his bum, and goes for a walk. Goes down to the town for like 6 hours or so. makes this butt hash, right? Like makes little fucking cigar finger shaped things. Sticks it
Well,
up
dude, I
and
mean,
goes for a walk.
and it comes back stoned as hell, or
I guess so. I would imagine it works really well because he says it goes right into your bloodline, right? Like, you know how
yeah,
like girls, they got the hooping thing where they take like a pill of E and they stick it up their cunt, right?
right.
You got like that kind of, or you got like the desperate meth head who's only got a little bit left, so he sticks it up his butt.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this guy's like, well, if it works with meth and E pills, it'll work with weed. I just have to figure out how to do this. Hash is the
See,
answer. Boom.
it is amazing. It's always been amazing to me how creative people that prolifically smoke weed are. Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
very creative. I mean, they
Yeah.
taught me. Like I said, I don't smoke weed. I sent you that thing about here in
Yeah.
Cambodia
That
you
was
can
that was the
order.
last episode too, right? We don't smoke weed no more.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can order a pizza here with weed on it. I'm thinking about doing it Friday after I do my interview. But
Definitely.
my friends taught me just the most crazy ways. Like if you don't have a pipe or a bong or
Oh, there's
paper,
just take a can, and it's from
the
people who
can
don't
is
know.
perfect.
The can's
Yeah,
fine. Just flatten it out a little bit like here, and you put some
put a
holes
couple
in it.
holes in there.
Yeah, put the
Yeah,
weed on there, and you light it and smoke it like this. It's like you can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or you get you some tin foil and roll it up.
Yeah, just
You
a
know.
tinfoil pipe will do it too. Or you could do it
Yeah.
with a plastic bottle. I've seen people in Vietnam take a straw, put the straw like burn a pen. No, sorry, like burn this, push a pen through, put the straw in, make a bowl out of either tinfoil or part of an aluminum can, and hit off of it like this, and they got a fucking water bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Absolutely nutty.
when
Hot knives.
yeah, yeah,
Let's just talk about all the ways you can do it first, right? So like hot knives and stuff, right? You take a knife, you heat it up with a jetty or a propane torch, whatever, till it's red, or you leave it on the stove until it's red. And you put the weed on the fucking ground here, and you put the knife over top of it, and you inhale. If you want to get all the smoke, then you cut the bottom off of the fucking bottle, and then you use it as a funnel, and you snort it in like that. It's fucking like, yeah. The apple pipe, I taught my girlfriend how to do that. She's hitting it up all the time now. She's like, oh my God, it's awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like I said, once I started doing drugs, I was doing everything, and I mean, I did some crazy shit, but I was also on the side, like my side job was B&E,
Yeah.
breaking and entering. That was my thing,
Yeah, it's been more than 10 years, so it's okay to talk about this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I love stealing. I loved it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we had this place in this really posh neighborhood in the area I lived at, had this garage where this rich kid's mom would let us do whatever we wanted in his garage, drugs, alcohol, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as we kept it in the garage, and then we'd get fired up on meth. And I remember one time we're getting fired up on meth, and it's probably like 2 a.m, and my two buddies were like, we're gonna need money tomorrow for some more, some weed and shit, so we can eat and sleep, because when you're on meth, you don't sleep, you don't eat, so we need shit to cause the munchies, so we at least eat a burger or
Yeah,
something.
you got something to work yourself
Yeah.
down. So for people who don't know, meth is an
Yeah.
upper, and when you take an upper, it takes you down on a crash. And for you to fucking wean off of that crash, so it doesn't suck so bad, you take a downer with it when you're coming
Yeah.
down, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So like, a downer's weed, or technically weed's a psychedelic, but it works as a downer.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Just to get the munchies and shit. I mean,
Yeah.
And so we decided, okay, well, let's go break into some garages. And so we're walking around this neighborhood like 2:30 in the morning. My friend has a butter knife. He knew how to get into garages with butter knives. He was an expert. They're like, hey, Bob, just sit out here and kind of keep guard. I'm like, all right, whatever, bro. I'm tweaking. I'm having a good time.
So that's actually kind of interesting. So how does he use two butter knives or one butter knife?
One butter knife, man. The dude
to just get in.
Dude, you'd be amazed at some of that. If you can meet, I don't even know if some of them are still around, but some of the guys that I grew up with, man, you give them a fucking a screwdriver and a motivational talk, and they'll come back with a Mercedes Benz for you, man. I mean, nice. they were that great. Yeah. Nice. But so I'm sitting out there on this corner underneath the street light, just high as hell on meth, and the guys get in, and not 2 minutes later, they just come running out. They're like, run, bro, run, run, run. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. We're running through bushes. And we finally get back to the garage where we're safe, and we're shutting the door, and they're all looking around. And I'm just like, what happened? Like, what the fuck, dude? Did someone come out? And go, no, man. It's like, it was dark in there, and we were going to steal some fishing poles so we could go fishing in the morning. So I told homeboy to turn the light on. We turned the light on, cop car right in the fucking garage.
Oh, fuck, dude. Oh, fuck. That's no good. And you guys got away.
Yeah.
What a fucking guy.
I never went nowhere near that part of the neighborhood.
No, fuck no, man. No. That's rat fuck. So is meth the hardest thing you've done?
No, I did. In the Army, I did angel dust once.
PCP. That's harder than you consider that harder than meth, than crystal?
I got it from some hardcore gangsters in a place called Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and it tasted like fucking Mr. Clean.
And you smoked it.
And we smoked it. And
that'll do it. Yeah.
It was. Now listen, kids, I'm not promoting drugs. I'm just telling you about my experiences, so you don't do this. But me and this guy, his name was Cobb, and he's a black guy from Mississippi. We had gotten in trouble. Don't ask me what we did. All I know is all of our friends went out to a campsite about an hour away in Kentucky for a picnic that was going to be a overnighter. And we were invited, but we got in trouble, so we had to stay behind and clean the barracks, like 3 floors were the barracks, before we could do anything. Cool. So me and Cobb are sitting there, and we're buffing the floor, and he hands me something. I thought it was a joint. He goes, you want a hit of this? I'm like, sure, man, and I took a hit, and like, well, that tastes weird. And it's like, take another hit. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, where'd you buy this weed? And he's like, that ain't weed, bro. And I'm like, fuck, man. So about 10, 15 minutes later, I was just like when I walk,
punching cows in the face, just knocking out farm animals. Yeah.
So we finally get released. Now, I'm not a racist guy, and so Cobb's a black man.
Okay.
He was one of my best friends. And
whatever.
We got released. And we drive all the way out to this party. We finally found it. It's about dusk, the sun was going down, whatever you call that. And we showed up. Everybody's like, Bob's here. Yeah, And they gave me and Cobb a beer. And we're standing there. And some kid behind me, I'm frying on something I never had before. And plus it was a Mickey. So I'm kind of freaking out, And all I heard was some redneck say, I came here to drink beer, not to drink with no N-word. And he was talking
Oh,
about my
shit.
friend Cobb.
Yeah, and
So I
he's
looked
within standing distance, huh?
so I looked at Cobb,
Yeah.
and Cobb was used to be a roofer. He was a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I'm like, Cobb, I'm like, did you come here to drink or fight? And he just looked at his beer. He goes, I came here to drink. I'm like, cool, man. I'm like, here, hold my beer. And I turned around and I went to hit a guy I thought would be my size. I'm 6 foot, 5'11", 5'11 and a half.
Yeah.
Well, he actually ended up being about 6'4", and I hit him square in the throat.
Yeah.
And he just
Yeah.
collapsed.
Boom. Yeah.
And so I'm on angel dust.
Yeah. So
and the only thing I can think is I look down and I'm like, I just killed this motherfucker.
Yeah, no. For everyone who doesn't know, when you do PCP, it takes away your pain receptors, or pretty much does. So you possess superhuman strength for a period of time. There's documentation of several cops having to hold down some guys who are on PCP.
Yeah.
So being able to it's not a clean punch. It's a dirty punch, but to punch a guy in the throat clean like that on PCP, you could very well kill him. Never mind even being 5'11". You could do that at 5'2" if you were on enough PCP.
Yeah, because acid's the same way. Like you don't feel any pain in acid.
Yeah, but acid doesn't jack you up. Well, some people, I guess it does. Some people, it affects them differently, right?
Yeah, but so, and then the guy woke up like 20, 30 minutes later, and we were already having fun. We forgot about it. And I was drinking my beer. And
you stayed at the place. So you punched him in the throat, and then you stayed there, and he was just out.
I was with all my friends from my military unit. I had no worries. We're out in the fucking middle of the woods having a barbecue. It's fine. And he wakes up and he walks up to me and he taps me on the shoulder. And I looked at him. He goes, "So what, you want to fight, man?" I'm like, "Bro, that happened 20 minutes ago. I'm done with that, man." I'm like, go find someone else to fight.
I'm on PCP. That was 5 days ago to me. Right?
I'm like, I'm not even in you. I don't even remember this shit, Like, let me have my beer. Life is good. So.
Hardest drug I did was horse. I never did PCP, but horses, for people who don't know, is heroin. And it was both times I did it, I did not have the intention of doing heroin. I've never bought it. I've never taken my own blood out with a needle or anything. But this hippie girl that I was living with, who was a part-time prostitute on East Hastings Street, which is the heroin district of Vancouver, we were partying. And this is before we were staying together. We lived together actually after this for a little while. But I had a ton of beer in me and I passed out before I could take a piss. Like fucking six or seven beers without taking a piss. And then just booing out, being like, that feeling when you're kind of drunk and you need to pee and you're on your back, but you just lean over on your side and you're just soldier through it and be like, I'll get to it when I wake up. It'll be okay. Like whatever. Right. So like, I got this fucking watermelon-sized bladder at this point, right? And she fills my arm when I'm asleep, when I'm passed out. And I wake up with the pinch, it just feels like a little pinch. And I'm like, what the fuck, right? And she's like, "Don't worry, it'll feel good." And I was, I didn't pull my arm away and hit her or nothing. I was like, okay, let's see what this does. Right. Not even thinking, right? And like, by all means, anyone who's listening, I don't condone using heroin whatsoever. It was the worst high I've ever had in my life. Some people love it. I hated it. Immediately, I felt sick. Yeah. Immediately. And she was like, let's fuck now, right? So she started like jerking me off and blowing me and stuff. And suddenly, and I still felt like shit, but I felt like shit with a boner now. And I start fucking her, right? And she goes, "Fuck me in the ass." And I'm like, okay, right? So I start fucking her in the ass. And I'm like, here we go. And she's on it too, but I haven't seen her shoot up. So she's like Google-eyed, kind of fucking weird heroin junkie faced now at this point. And I'm barebacking her, right? In the butt, heroin junkie. I've been tested since then. And it's all good. Nothing happened, right? Lucky guy. So pounding away, and all of a sudden I'm like, I really gotta pee. And she's like, no, just do it. I'm like, okay, I'll be back in a minute. No, just do it now. I'm like, you want me to pee in your butt? And she's like, yeah, just do it. And the same thing, it'll feel good. Don't worry. so I'm pushing and I'm like, all right, why the fuck not? So, and on heroin, you don't really have great control of your body. You don't really, right? So I'm kind of pushing down on my bladder over my stomach and kind of just squeezing out the pee like the last little bit in a soap bottle in like a dishwashing thing. And I can feel it doing it. And as I'm doing that, I feel it coming back out. Because you know what goes in must come out. And I'm like, oh no. And you can't finish, like, you can't stop in the middle of a pee. Whoever's watching this, if you can stop in the middle of a pee, please leave a comment in the section below and we'll have you on the show and talk about that. But
yes,
I couldn't stop. So I was just pushing my hand down still because I'm like, you can't just let go of it. And then all of a sudden I smelt some stuff that wasn't pee. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done? So we got this pee enema about to come out of the butt. I'm on heroin. I can't move very fast on heroin. So in slow motion, what surely was 3 seconds in real time was about 2 minutes in my mind as I push away and I'm still peeing. And I stand on the edge of the bed and she's like doggy style facing the pillow still. And the piss and shit is coming out of her ass onto her bed. And I'm still peeing, right? And I'm just thinking, if anyone is watching this right now, this is the most grotesque example of human behavior possible. Then, while I let her finish, there's only one bathroom. Heroin makes you shit. And I needed to shit. So I was like smelling this gnarly stuff that's coming out of her. I go into the bathroom real quick to take a dump, and she's trying to clean up the whole place. So she fucking wraps all the stuff up in the blanket, still on heroin. So then she comes up to the door with this bag of shit. Let me in! Let me in! Like Dawn of the Dead waving a bag of shit. I was like, all right, that's cool. So I left and we couldn't ever talk about it again. And then a couple of months later, she was my girlfriend for a few months and we lived together.
No shit.
Yeah.
I tell you, you know, I came back the first time I was deployed. I came back. This is the worst thing I ever did on drugs and alcohol. And I never really tell my stories around my kids, but they're old enough now. And I told them, like, watch these videos. You'll learn about me now. You know, you're old enough to know about me. You know,
this is something they should watch when you're dead. But continue.
Yeah, but they could catch up. And my oldest son heard this story, and I didn't know he was in. I thought he was asleep. But anyhow, we had gotten back from deployment, and I went out and I got drunk and high. Okay, we were about to go on 30 days leave, so we knew we weren't going to get piss tested or anything. We we're just going to sign out, gone for a month, come back. And I come back to the barracks, to the third floor. I'm just drunk as hell, high as fuck. And there's this girl that I had done before, like a year ago. And she's standing outside her room. We lived in co-ed barracks. And I was like, so, hey, how's it going? What's going on? She's like, oh, I got married today. I'm like, oh, cool, you know? And I was like, well, who'd you marry? And she married this fat guy, and I knew him. He was kind of disgusting, but anyhow, they got married.
Some fat guy.
I'm like, so are you guys like, you know, going anywhere? She's like, no, he's drunk and passed out in the bed. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I talked her into going to my room. So I consummated her marriage for him.
Oh, okay. For him. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. Doing him a favor.
I
Showing
was
him some
gonna say,
serious respect here, right? He's some fat
yeah.
guy, you know. I fucked his wife for him, right? He was busy, just doing you a
And
big favor.
after it was all done, I was happy, I was like, cool, I got laid, and she just kind of, because I did things to her that, you wouldn't do to a farm animal, because I just got because I just got back from war. And the next day I seen her and I was hungover or whatever, and I didn't care. And I seen him, they were together and they were holding hands and shit. And I'm just sitting there thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, dude, like, I fucked your wife last night, bro.
Cool. Did he ever find out?
And to this day, I don't know, man. Probably
Cool.
not. Most army marriages, like both couples are in the army, they're either arranged so they can make more money, or they actually think they like each other and they last maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
most army
time.
marriages, they don't last that long, man.
Yeah. Hallucinogenics. The
But
first
yeah.
time,
Oh,
I ever did shrooms, I was 16, and the idea, and my friend, the same guy, big crazy guy, came up to me and he's like, "Did you ever try shrooms?" I said, "Fuck no." And he's like, "I got chocolate covered shrooms," and I didn't really know that shrooms even meant mushrooms.
Right.
So it gives me these things, and I eat them. They taste like shit. They tasted like, like how mushrooms taste. It tastes like shit.
Well,
Right? With
that's
some chocolate in it.
quality.
Yeah. And I did not have an incredible visual hallucinogenic trip like most people do. I didn't see the big colors or anything. My first one was a big knock in the head, and it was the big reset. Sometimes when you do shrooms or acid, you get the big reset button, which is you have to look inside of your own head, inside your own soul sometimes, and you see your own bullshit, and it crushes you.
Yeah.
Absolutely crushes you. And you, like, some people call that a bad trip. That was just my very first experience with it. And I had, I'd say that night until I woke up the next day, was absolutely terrible. It felt like being dumped times 1,000. And I looked at every single thing I ever did shitty in my life that I could remember, and I gave myself shit for it. And
Yeah.
that's the big reset button. But the next day I came out of that and I was quite well adjusted. I felt like I was in complete control of my life again, and I felt like the slate was wiped clean, and I could now be a better guy. Now I don't think everyone gets that off of that trip, right? And I've also had it where I've eaten and I just see pretty colors and I laugh a lot and watch something stupid on TV at 4 a.m. and try to crank call the ShamWow guy live and stuff like that, right? Like that's yeah, but the first one, right, with the crazy trip and stuff. Have you had one of those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The craziest trip I had. Okay. Back in 88, 89, I was living off post with this guy. He's probably the most cockstrong redneck you'd ever want to meet. A girl literally hit him in the back of the head with a iron skillet. And he turned around and looked at her and goes, "What's your problem?" I mean, it split his head open, but all he could say is, "What's your problem?" Well, he was my roommate.
Okay, yeah, no, that'll do it. Iron skill to fucking do it. Yeah.
Okay, so anyhow, I had duty, 24-hour duty, and I got off, and instead of going to bed, I dropped 2 hits of microdot.
Oh, now, yeah, no, that'll do it.
Now, this guy had taken off like 3-4 weeks earlier to go back to Oklahoma. He was getting out of the army, and he left with his girlfriend, and he didn't leave rent money for the place that we had. Well, my brother and his friend had happened to be visiting at the time. And so I was like doing what you're doing. I'm like, okay, so I made this bad choice of trusting this guy.
Yeah.
And we went in on this together. And now it's going to get me like in a lot of trouble with my officers and things like that. So I'm sitting here having this thing about, I don't like when people fuck me over because I don't fuck people over.
Yes,
my words gold. Right. So I sent my brother over there and I told him, like, go steal everything out that house, sell it for whatever you want, and go back home to San Diego. And they did. Huh. And so it's funny. I was fine. I was fine with it. I moved back in the barracks. I was fine with it. Yeah. About a week later, I'm sitting in a redneck bar in Tennessee. I'm drinking a beer. In walks Mr. Cockstrong with his girlfriend. And he's angry because all his stuff's gone. Okay. And he wants an explanation. So he sits down next to me. And I was gangster about it, bro. I'm not going to kid you around. Yeah. His girl went and sat at the bar. He sat down at the table where I was at. I ordered 2 beers. I was like, yeah, bring him a beer. It's on me. And he goes, hey, Bob, what happened to my stuff? I was like, dude, your stuff's gone. He's like, he's like, well, then I got a problem with that. I'm like, I understand you do. I was like, but you took off and you didn't tell me anything. And I was set up for rent that I couldn't afford on what I was making. I was like, my brother stole all your shit. He sold it. He's gone. Yeah. So all there's left is me. I was like, you got 2 choices. Okay. One, you can kick my ass, which you will. You're a big guy. You don't feel pain. Okay. But before you take your first swing, I'm walking right over there and I'm knocking your girlfriend out.
Oh, and shit, dude.
And he went, what? I'm like, I'm knocking your girlfriend the fuck out, man. I'm knocking her out, man. I was like, we can either settle this like men, drink a few beers, say we both fucked up and walk away, or she's going home toothless and I'm going home unconscious. Yeah. And
or maybe not at all.
And he sat there and thought about it and he goes, well, that stuff wasn't worth that much money and I kind of want to go home anyways. I'm out of the Army now, so yeah, let's just drink a couple beers and it's cool, man. And I was just like, yeah.
I've never heard that one before. I'm going to punch your girlfriend.
Dude, that's all I had. Girlfriend. That's all I had. I've never hit a girl in my life. That's all I had in my pocket. Yeah. You do not know.
Just pull it out. Just anything you got. Or just like, all right, here we go. Try to say the worst possible thing.
Yeah, this guy moonlighted as a bouncer at one of the bars. While he was working, he got stabbed. He went to the emergency room, got stitches, and went back to work. That's how badass he was. Yeah. I knew I was a dead man. What do you say? There's only one way out. Oh, you're going to hurt me, but she's getting hurt too. And he didn't want nothing to do with that, man.
That's an interesting angle, right? No, you were clearly bluffing. You wouldn't have actually punched his girlfriend.
Oh, no. I was going to get my ass kicked.
Yeah. Just desperation move. That's pretty good. It's like, what do I got? Punch your girlfriend.
I gave him something to think about, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
What's more important, a fucking love seat or my girlfriend, you know?
Yeah, it's not like, that's some dark shit, but okay. That's cool. Let's fucking what's another drug? Oh, good. Let's go to the classic, cocaine. I loved cocaine in my early 20s till like 28, I'd say, about 21 to 28. That was when I was doing it at least every weekend, sometimes every day for short spans of time. And I'm positive that my brain no longer works in the same manner that it used to because of that silly drug. But yeah. I've had some great times with it. And personally, I never found it to be like, I'm on cocaine. Oh, I never got Rick James high. Other than a couple of times when I smoked it. That really fucked me up, and I got all yellow-eyed and weird, right? Because you're smoking crack then, basically, at that point.
Right.
But otherwise, when I would do it just to get stuff done, like sending out emails to book my band or practicing guitar for a couple hours there, when I would do just like a little bump, it was pretty much just like drinking 2 espressos, but not getting jittery and not having the acid reflex thing from drinking too much coffee.
Yeah, I think I did coke once. I highly addicted to meth for a year. Like,
that sucks, dude. See,
yeah,
like, I don't think Coke really
you
has that same kind of like you need
no,
it thing.
meth is a dirty, disgusting high, man.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing that makes the only thing that's fun on meth is getting a blowjob, because it never ends.
Well,
But
let's talk about that. No, let's talk about that. So sometimes, personally for me, drugs that are awesome for my dick is weed and shrooms and acid a little sometimes, but all the rest of them, like all the hard shit,
yeah,
fucking kills my dick.
yeah.
He does.
Well,
He's
meth,
like, but with you,
meth,
you're
meth,
good.
meth destroys my dick.
Yeah, it's awful. You get the jelly bean, you know.
I get high on meth, and there were two examples, and they were two friends in my neighborhood. They knew me, and both times I hung out with them, one would want to fuck, and I'd be so high on meth I couldn't even get a boner, dude.
No, you can't.
It's an embarrassing thing, man. But
apparently, it's great on women. Like, women love, well, like, you know, the party girls who like doing drugs. They love getting fucked on that.
Right.
They love getting fucked on, but we can't do that, right? Like, a lot of girls would be.
Right.
I've been with chicks who are like, let's do a ton of cocaine, right? And you see the bitch like snort 2 grams to herself, like not quite an 8 ball, but 2 grams. We buy an 8 ball and she snorts more than half of it, and then she wants to fuck after. And I've only had, you know, a gram in me, and I it won't work the same way. But which is a damn shame, because they get so horny on it. The ones that want to do it get so fucking horny on that shit. And like, you know, mentally, I'm horned up. I want to do it, right?
Yeah,
like,
from here up,
yeah, from there.
Good.
Yeah, exactly, right. I'm down 100%, but like, you know, I can't perform the usual way here. It's gonna take a whole lot of fucking convincing. And she's playing with a wet noodle the whole damn time down there for doing that shit. So
the first blowjob I ever got, I was on meth, and it was because I didn't understand women. Like I told you, I'm very naive when I was young. Okay. And I was doing this girl when I was 18, and I didn't know that some girls don't like doing it when they're on their period. So I was learning this while she was on her period, and it's kind of funny. That night we were going to go see AC/DC and Queensryche.
Awesome.
And I remember we were at my house, and I was fried up. You know, I was excited to see Queensryche. I really don't care for AC/DC, but I like Queensryche. They're very talented guitarist and a great drummer. You know, the singer, kind of a prick. But
no one likes him. They say when he plays live, he just has no stage presence and sounds like shit. That's what people tell me, but I've never seen them. Anyway, continue.
And so we're in my room, like 4 of us, and this is when I was like trying to be the next Slayer drummer, you know, really fast and all that. And so I had a lot of people hung out with me that liked the way I played drums. And I was high on meth, and my head wanted to fuck, but my meth head didn't want to.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
The girl that was taking me to the show decided to give me a blowjob like 4 hours before we were going to go leave and see it. And so we're laying in my bed. Everybody was waiting for us outside, and it went on forever, bro. Yeah. I thought I came 3 or 4 times. I never came once. Yeah. I mean, it just, you know, it was just a weird thing. You know?
That's how it goes, man. That's how it fucking goes.
I remember, you know, and I had a buddy. He was funny. Mike Sutton was like my fucking sidekick forever when it came to everything I did bad as a kid. And he was walking downtown San Diego one time. He looked up in this condo, and he saw a guy growing weed. Now, this is in the 80s. He was growing weed, all right? So my buddy's on meth. He climbs up the building side, about 8 floors up to this condo, and steals all these weed plants. There's no buds. It's just the plants. Steals them.
Okay.
So that night we're gonna go see Judas Priest at the arena,
Yeah.
And so we get a case of beer. We're underage. We get a case of beer, and then he's got this wet marijuana that he stole. And so we parked out. We parked kind of far out the arena. We're sitting there trying to get this weed to get us high. Next thing you know, we hear a knock, and I look, and there's two cops, and they see us trying to get this weed, and they're like, "What are you guys doing there?" And I'm like, "Nothing. That looks like you're smoking weed." We're like, "Yeah." And so he opens the bag and says, "All this weed," and the cop's like, "You got any alcohol?" And we're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, how much?" And I open up my trunk. There's a case of beer, which is what I loved. I've loved beer since I was 12 years old. He goes, "I'll tell you what, you dump out all that beer, we'll let you guys go." So as I'm watching my friends dump out my beer, and a small tear is rolling down my eye.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That was really good beer. It was hard to get that beer too, man.
My Judas Priest concert go to hell.
Yeah.
My idiot friend still on meth is over there trying to light wet fucking marijuana leaves, man.
Yeah. You got to just microwave it for like 10 seconds. But that sucks, man. My first time where I became badass, the moment I became badass was I got dumped by my first real serious girlfriend when I was 18. I dropped out of college, and before I went on my first tour in America, down the West Coast, I decided to go to Kelowna with my friend, the mushroom guy, to a thing called Shambhala, which was a DJ rave thing. And that was when that was kind of new still. And I wasn't into DJ music at all, but he said, we can find some hippie girls to go up there and fuck us. So we're like, okay, that's cool. Let's go. So we brought a couple of ounces of oil in shot glasses, like weed oil in shot glasses. I drove my mom's car, and we drove into this long thing. It's in the mountains, okay? In the mountains of BC. So way up fucking there, gravel roads and trees. We drive through, and there's this little barricade. And there's not cops, security guys. And I'm like, what the fuck is all this? It looks kind of like a Deliverance scene where they're gonna do something fucked up, right? So drove right through it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I got all these fake lights and megaphones. Keep in mind, these are supposed to be hippies and shit dancing around.
Right.
And this wasn't hippies. It was like backwoods motherfuckers with like rifles and shit, right? So we stopped the car, and the tow truck comes and tows us up. I give him half an ounce to let us just go out of the jar. Like, here, just half an ounce of that. You could just let us out of here. Just fine. We drive up to another town called Penticton, a little bit further away from that, about an hour and a half. And by this time, it's Saturday night at 12:30 a.m., which is Sunday morning. Well, technically a Sunday. It's no longer Saturday. The sign says no parking Friday and Saturday. And so we park there. It's Sunday now. We get out. We're underage. We get into the strip club. It was like the Pink Flamingo or something. I remember seeing a pink champagne.
Funny.
There's
the bar I used to go to in Tennessee called that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure maybe it's a franchise. So we go in there, and we enjoy watching the Peelers, had a couple of beers, come back out about an hour later, and we have the dude, where's my car experience, because the fucking car's gone. And we're like, what the fuck? So me and my buddy, we start fighting each other. We're like, what the fuck, fuck you, right? Like everything's all ruined. And remember, I've been soul crushed for the first time. Your first real breakup is terrible and makes you into a pussy. So I was already a completely destroyed man, a total pussy, very, very negative with everything that I was possibly thinking of, not being a cool bro at all at this point. And I was still young. I'm a little shit at this point, 18 years old. So we decide to take our separate ways. I walk one way, he walks the other. The town is built in a circle. We happen to meet at the same point, and we talked it out and said, okay, I'm sorry, man. It's all good, right? Let's try to find the car, right? And we're at that exact point. We're standing at the tow place, the tow station, and we look across, and there's my fucking car. But there's two cars in the way. So here's one car, here's my car, here's the other one. all I have to do is get into there and just eke my car up and around and pull out, and it would have been fine. We go in there. I go into the tow truck, and I take a screwdriver and a hammer. I'm like, I'm gonna break the fucking lock. I'll just hang over this way. The gate's unlocked. So like, okay, didn't have to do that. Open the gate. We get in the car. I get in the car because he can't fit in. His fat ass is not getting in to that narrow of a spot. And I start eking it out, and it looks okay. It looks like I'm gonna make it. Then one of the fucking ladies who owns the place sends out dogs, turns on the fucking alarm, starts yelling, saying, "The cops are coming! The cops are coming right now!" And I panic because, again, I'm not badass at this point. And I floor it. And I push the other car out with my mom's car, fucking up the back of it. But he gets in the car, and we drive away really slow. The cops pass us. There's only one way into town and one way out. It's one road. They pass us, all 6 or 7 cop cars. Boom, 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 boom. And we get all the way home. My mom has been called by the cops before we get home, and it's been like a good 6-hour drive. She calls me and tells me what's happened. And they were so embarrassed by the fact that I did what I did on video camera. And they knew that they didn't have a case because they illegally towed my car in the first place. So it would have been just a big mess. So they just banned me from that. But then that went on my record. So it's not something I went to trial for. So it's okay, but it's still on your record. Fast forward about 3 months, and I got my own car now. I'm hanging out with 3 of my friends. Well, really, 1 of my friends and 2 guys I never fucking knew before. And we're going to go pick up a key, a fucking blow, right? So really heaty situation. He goes up there. We're waiting in the car. Cops swarm us because someone got tipped off. And we're like, oh, fuck. So like gun drawing and everything in Canada, which like rarely fucking happens, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like gun drawing and everything, like flashlight in the face, like hands on the wheel, right? Like that kind of shit. So like, and I'm driving. I'm like, all right. Step out of the vehicle, right? Did the whole thing, hands behind the head, cuffed, real rough arrest, right? Like if I could just boot on the thing, right? Boot on the neck and all that fucking shit. Stay where you are. And they roughed us up a little bit. And this is like, way before the George Floyd thing, right? So this So it's all good. They run my shit. They run the 2 other guys' shit. And the 2 other guys are prospects for 2 other different gangs. And they're trying to be badass, right? They're trying to be all mean and shit. They're talking a bunch of bullshit stories. Oh yeah, stabbed a guy in juvie, right? And it's total bullshit, right? Like, so they sit us up and they say, okay, you and you can go, and they point to me, but we know you, so you have to stay. And the other 2 guys are like, oh fuck, so he really has done some fucked up shit, right? And then the cop comes and says like, no, but it's been handled, so we can let him go too, right? The other guy, it's been handled. And then I get in the car and we drive away. My other buddy's still in the fucking room, still picking up the stuff, and he's scared out of his fucking mind. The other 2 guys are like, so what'd you do, man? Did you kill a guy? And I'm like, yeah, I killed a guy. And then from that day in town, people were like, oh no, he's a bad motherfucker. We have to respect this guy. Oh, we have to fucking get I got the best prices for weed. I got the hottest chicks.
Yeah. Like, I've always prided myself on being like you. Like, you tell me about how, you'll buy water for people. Like you take proceeds from your shows. Yeah. I do that too. So that's good. I consider myself a good person, And my son, I love my son, Eddie. He's in the rap game and he's doing really good. He's doing it all. I've told you about this.
Shout out to Eddie. Wait. Where can we listen to Eddie's stuff?
Eddie's on Spotify under Teflon.
How do you spell that?
Teflonn.
Okay, and if you want to go to the comment section, I will put the link there a little bit later.
Yeah, or you can also find me on Facebook. He's under Eddie, Eddie Powless, Powless.
Cool.
He's coming out with a new video soon, and he's about to drop his first record. And like I said, I have connections in Hollywood, and I offered him that bone, but he said, "No, Dad, I'm going to do this all on my own." But anyhow,
that's good.
Yeah. So I'm under the impression that people in my hood in Wisconsin, think I'm a nice guy. Now, I hung out with gangsters in Wisconsin, and they said I was a nice guy. So I like that. But I was talking to my son one day, and he's always telling me, "Dad, I can take care of myself. I can take care of myself." I was like, "Ed, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm a good guy." He goes, "Dad, everyone here knows you're a crazy motherfucker, man." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, they know you're crazy, man.
Yeah.
You can't hide from that, man. It's like, you can do your nice things, but they all know your history and how you are." But
but people have that kind of perspective, right? Where it's like, you got the long hair, you don't look like everybody else, you look like a freaky guy, therefore you are a freaky guy. When in actuality, a lot of us freaky dudes are really nice people. We go and we donate some money. We don't put it on Facebook. We don't live stream us giving away things or trying to get the Boy Scout badge for being the biggest kiss ass in the fucking city.
Yeah.
But we try to lead by example and just genuinely be a good person. Now we said we've done. Yep.
Example of that is a good friend of mine. I don't know if he'll watch this or not, but he's from Venezuela, and Venezuela, the economy is dying.
I believe the biggest murder capital of the world right now.
Venezuela. Right now, yeah. But he's in America, safe with his wife.
Yeah.
And he's working, and his mom's still in Venezuela. And I was talking to Tanner, who's a good friend of his, and he was telling me about how his mom was struggling. And I was just like, fuck it. So I got on Walmart MoneyGram, and I sent Tanner $50. I was like, "Here's $50. Give it to so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him it's from me. Don't tell anyone else. I don't want anyone else to know. I don't want him to thank me. I don't want Facebook, nothing. Just
do it and get it done."
I talked to him, and he said, right now, $50 fed my mom for 2 months.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, you're my friend.
Yeah.
If I got $50, I'll give you.
Live off for 2 months, $50 in food. Like that's not so bad. We should go to Venezuela.
Yeah, but I don't want no accolades for that. I mean, if you got it,
just be a good dude and shit. That's all, right? That's
the
important thing.
I mean, I've had karma. I used to, like I said, my thing was B&E. I love breaking. I love stealing shit, dude. Even today. I mean, if I had the chance, I'd steal shit. But I've had things stolen from me, and people, and I walk away with a smile on my face.
So is karma real? Do you think karma's real?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's what people say. They're like, "Why aren't you mad?" I'm like, "I deserve that."
Yeah.
But I'll tell you my mushroom story.
Yeah.
The first time I did mushrooms. And this is for the kids out there. Mushrooms and punk rock don't mix. So
yeah, they do. It's a great time. What are you talking about?
For first time I did mushrooms,
I
went to go see Social Distortion. And I know the bass player for the new bass player for Social Distortion, who's also the bass player for Rancid.
Yeah, that's a good band, man.
Yeah, I like them guys. But anyhow, I went with this crazy chick, and she brought mushrooms, and I'm like, cool. And for some reason, these people didn't know what a punk rock show was. Some old school punk rock where you push people out the way to get to the front of the stage, and I'm pushing my way to the front of the stage, and this white woman wasn't having nothing of it. And she turned around and she told me to knock it off. And I'm like really high on shrooms and having a good time. And I'm just kind of like, fuck you.
Of course.
And she turned around and punched me.
Okay.
And I was like, cool. I was like, do that again. And she's like, what? I'm like, go ahead. Punch me again.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Like, fuck you. This ain't got nothing to do with you. I was like, she punched me. Let her punch me again. I mean, if that makes her happy, punch me. Fucking punch me. I don't give a fuck. And the bouncer kid was going to kick me out. Well, the bouncer was brand new. So he drags me out this place in Milwaukee. And the lead security guy was this black guy. And he didn't want to kick me out because it was a punk show. And I paid my admission and shit. And he's like,
it's hard to get picked out of a punch shout, man.
Yeah. And he's like, why are you kicking this guy out? He goes, oh, he gave me the finger and told me to fuck off. And he's like, no, we're going to let him back in. I'm like, no, dude. I was like, better choice. Me and that fucking security guard outside right now, I bet I beat his ass, man. And the guy's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Once you send that little pussy outside right now, I bet I whoop his ass. And he's like, bro, you got to calm down. I'm like, no. It's too late for that. I'm like, let's send his ass outside. Let's do this. And he's like, you're going to have to go. I'm like, all right. Is he coming? He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, because I'll whoop his fucking ass. And I had a hotel room across the street. And I went up there and I drank beer and dropped more shrooms. That's like, fuck. I was like, I've seen Social Distortion 5 times, so it was no big deal to me. But I told him, like, come with me first, man.
That's the cool thing about shrooms, though, and like that kind of drugs, you can stack them. And what that means is like you can take a little bit at a time and keep on taking it throughout the day. Micro dosing, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
I've known
it was a fun time. I liked it. And so but I don't take drugs from people I don't know.
Yeah.
That's rule number 1. So I have to know you first, because
I'll take them. I'll take them. Give him a dentist cup or whatever. I don't know. I'll take them. All right.
Yeah. Well, Cobb back in the Army, he's the only guy that got to slip me a Mickey. Yeah. And that was, to him, that was funny. And then afterwards, to me, that was funny. That's fine. But if I don't know you, because I don't trust, I grew up in the city like you did. I grew up in the city. I don't know who's narcs and who's not. You gotta know you first, man.
Oh, everyone's looking for you. The moment you walk into a grocery store here, they're looking for you, man. Anywhere.
Yeah.
That's how it fucking goes. So let's talk about the dangers of doing it. So if you've made it this far into this video, just understand that we're not condoning the use of drugs. We're just explaining
we're telling
how
you
we have used it. It's actually fucked up for you to use drugs. I still believe that if you use them in the right way, with the right amount, if you're trying to get something done, sometimes it can be helpful, but you don't need it. But still, so here's some of the dangers of actually doing it. My buddy, who I've mentioned several times here, the big shroomy acid guy, he overdid all of the shrooms and acid and all that kind of stuff. He did it for years, man. And it rotted his brain to the point where he was on acid one day. And this is 6'6", 300-pound big boy from Alberta, right? So big Stay Puft Marshmallow Man guy, right? He decides he's going to take all his clothes off in the park. It's a nice day. He's going to hang out naked in a public park. So he does it. Then he's like, you know what? It's really nice out and there's not that many people here, so I'm going to jerk off. And not only does he just not find, he doesn't like go to a tree and try to hide himself and jerk off. He decides to stand up and walk, giant dude, walk through the park while masturbating, walking around, shaking it up.
Yeah.
And thinking that this is okay. The cops come, obviously, within minutes, because, children, old ladies, public park, middle of the day, right? Minutes. They're fucking there. Right. So they pick him up, they handcuff him. They bring his naked ass home to his dad's house. His dad answers the door, feels all embarrassed. They say it's okay. Well, there won't be any charges. Don't let him ever do that again. And like the dad was, I guess, in with the cops or whatever, or had talked them down enough, and he got to go free. Big boy goes upstairs, and instead of just calling it a day there, he takes a kitchen knife, like one of these, and he cuts himself from his wrist all the way to his shoulders on both arms and just carves himself because he is disappointed with himself and feels embarrassed. The cops are still in the front yard. doing their shit, but whatever the fuck they do before they leave, right? And his dad gets him, brings him down, says, call the ambulance, call the ambulance, call the ambulance. They call the ambulance. He gets stitched up in the ambulance, goes straight to the nut ward. In the ambulance, okay?
Yeah.
Straight in the nut ward. Gets out, cuffed to the bed. Take him 1 second. Sorry, this asshole's calling me right here. Shit. Straight to the handcuffed to the bed. He's like, let me out. I want to be able to come out of this. They drive him, take him right into the thing. Cops are still on him. They uncuff him inside the nut ward. Still would have been okay. Maybe he would have had to do a year or something like that, right? After trying to harm himself. He goes for the cop's gun. He gets it off of him. He points it at the cop and he says, bang, bang. And he is immediately taken to the ground and tasered. 10 years in the ward. 10 fucking years, man. Yeah. And like now basically on house arrest, living in a halfway house, lobotomized, basically, can barely string 2 fucking words together now. And that's the dangers of doing too much drugs.
Yeah.
That will do it.
Yeah, I've lost some friends on it. My brother died of overdose that wasn't what he wanted. Someone slipped fentanyl on him.
Oh fuck, that's a shit way to go, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, and he didn't know.
Yeah,
so, but yeah, I said, and you're right. I mean, right. I can tell you a whole 100 of funny stories of me when I was on drugs and being stupid. But I also tell my nieces and nephews, you know, I'm 53 years old. If at this moment in time, I could tell you, I never smoked a cigarette, I never drank a beer, and I never did any drugs, I don't think that would be shameful, man. I was like, I think that'd be kind of cool, man, you know, to say that, you know, so I encourage that. You know, I'm an 80s kid, man. You know, all you had to do is tell people you're a musician and you got free everything, you know, but
that still goes today.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And but I totally agree with you. I think my stories are funny, but only because I'm still alive.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys that I hung out with are either in jail or dead. You know?
Me too.
So,
or way worse, they're married with children.
Oh God, to be married. You know, people always threaten me with oh, we're gonna do this to you or we're gonna do that to you. I'm like, dude, I've been married twice. You can't hurt me, man.
Yeah, you know? You're invincible now, right? There's nothing left in there. You can try to tear my beating heart out. There's nothing in there. Yeah,
they took it all, bro. There's nothing left, man.
Yeah,
so do your worst, man.
It's like a deflated balloon inside of me. There's not...
But yeah, so yeah, don't take this as a pro drug thing. I'll still do my beer and shit, and you know, I'm 53. I got nothing to lose, bro.
I've had a good life. Smoke some weed once in a while. I'll have a cigarette once in a while. I'll have a drink once in a while, but that's about it.
Yeah. And
it's not every day. And sometimes if it is every day, it's for a week. That's a good solid bender now. That's enough now.
Yeah. And I think marijuana should be legal everywhere. I don't do it, but I've never been in a bar where a guy goes, I'm so high on marijuana, I want to fight you. It's never happened.
Yeah, I've never really seen that either. It's really hard to get pissed off on that.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of guys with a lot of alcohol courage, you know, that want to fight you. Yeah. So But yeah, this is good stuff, man. And I think next week I want to interview you about your Japanese woman pissing in the shower.
Oh, the Japanese pee girl. Yeah, we'll talk about that one another time. We'll do relationships on the next one, okay?
Okay, yeah, we can do that. I'll tell you.
That's pretty cool.
All my bad ones. And, I might be going to Korea in the next 6 weeks if everything goes right. So
it's so weird, dude. It's like you go here or there or here, and then shit changes on the fly. Like I was supposed to go to England, and then they changed that too. I thought that was all solid. Like you and I have both been trying to get into Vietnam a million times, and they closed that off. You can't even mail a letter over there right now.
Fuck that. The people I got a hold of 4 or 5 months ago were recruiting for English teachers in Vietnam. And they're like, look, we don't know what our situation is. We don't know if we can even let anyone in right now, but we still want to interview you for an English teaching job. So Friday I interview for a job in Vietnam, but even if they like me, they still got to wait for the go ahead to be able to let me in.
Well, you could qualify for the special business visa at least that way, but then you have to pay $3,000 to get in.
Oh, I'm not paying that kind of money. I'm already worried about the $1,500 for quarantine in Korea just to go hang out for 9 days.
I had half that bill taken care of from my buddy over that way, but even so, right? Like this, just like you said, 1,500 is still pretty steep, and then I got to pay for my cat to get over, so it's 25. So it's and that's just a little high, man, right? Because you could rent a whole house in Vietnam for that much money for 3 months, if you wanted to, right? You could fucking get like a room like I have right now for $180, $160. A month, right? You got to pay utilities and all that shit, right? But even if you have the aircon cranked the whole time, you're still paying about $220 for the whole fucking month, right? And that's nothing, right?
And that's the problem. That's the problem with Korea. Right? Like Korea is Americanized, so Korea.
Oh yeah, prices, man.
$1,500 for the quarantine. And then you got to find a place to live. And one of the guitarists I used to play for, he's back in Korea. The cheapest place he could find to live was $30 a night. And, that's $900. That's $900 a fucking month, and that's like I told you.
That's no good.
That's too much, man.
No, like you're gonna go in and out of it. That's no problem. But if you go there to live there, $900 a month, fuck that, dude.
Fuck that.
I'm sure you could find something cheaper. You'd probably get that down to $6 if it's like Japan.
Yeah.
You could, if you really looked for it and hustled it, you could probably get it down to $6. If you just marry an ugly chick, then it's free. But who wants to go and do that 3 times? No one.
Yeah. You don't want to do it. You're gonna do it.
I have to.
But you don't want to do it once. Hey,
it's gonna happen.
But I like your fiance.
She's cool. Don't get me wrong. She's if I absolutely had to do it, at least it's with her. Right? So it's she's a good friend, which is really nice. We'll get into that next week and stuff. She's a good friend. Yeah. Which is nice to have. I've never really had that. I usually just usually it's just girlfriend stuff, and I dread having to spend any time with her outside of the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I just like that she uses the American Canadian word fuck properly.
And cunt.
Yeah, she does it properly, so I respect her for that, man.
And if I really piss her off, she says, "You are a piece of shit," which is really nice. I like that one. I'm like, that's good. That's better than fuck you. That's better than you motherfucker. That's better than most things. Shit doesn't rank the highest on the insult list, but when she directs it in such a way, I find it very cutting. And it hurts, and I like that. That's strong. I appreciate strength.
For me, my ex-wife, the only one that counts, my ex-wife, the mother of my son, always called me an asshole. She always told me, "Bob, just face it, you're an asshole."
Yeah.
And the way she said it, I mean, she's right, but it kind of hurt,
Yeah, that's good though. That's the sign of love. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But she knew how to use it. And we can talk about that.
Yeah, if it doesn't hurt, you don't really love her. So that's that's a good prequel into this. That was drug episode 1. I'm just gonna put these up in full. I think I like these more in full. Personally.
Yeah.
There's at least 10 people watching the whole thing, which is pretty good. All right. For our basic cable Wayne's World show, it's pretty good. We'll get more into segments and stuff later. I want to try some other stuff where take like 5 seconds of different things.
And depending on where you go in the next 3 months, there might be a chance we can meet up and do this in the same room.
Oh, that'd be way better, I think. Then we got some serious Joe Rogan kind of shit going on, right? I would love to be able to get us doing this, and we got some guy to run stuff so he can put up pictures of different things when we're talking about them, right? Like show them what does a crack pipe look like versus a weed pipe versus a tobacco pipe, right? Have them put up on there, and we'll talk about things like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Talk about Michael Keaton and show him, right? Like pop him up right here, right? I think that'd be pretty sweet. We're going to be bringing in other guests as well to have roundtable discussions about these things as we progress a little bit. We're trying to build up the audience, so we appreciate you leaving comments, pressing like, and sharing these videos, becoming part of this. Eventually, I would like to be able to record these and have them go live at the same time on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram when we can set all that up.
And ask our asses questions. We're musicians, man, so we have stories.
Yeah. We can go off, right? You know, like we're two guys who have no friends who live in a fucking room by ourselves right now. So we can talk forever about nothing, and that's cool. But it would be more appreciative from both of us and for everyone who's watching if you could involve yourself and talk with us about certain things and become more interactive.
Me and Tanner did a live one before I got banned from Facebook last week. We did a live one, and people actually tuned in and were asking questions as we were talking, and that was kind of cool, man. So,
we can do that with this one too. I just got to figure out how. Like, I'm still pretty new to the streaming technology stuff. It seems to be growing faster than I can learn, but we will get there, and this show will continue airing regardless if you like it or not, everybody. So
nice. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Thank you, and you all have a great week, man. Really, I get my second jab Wednesday, so I'll be fully vaccinated, and then I got a job interview Friday. So have a great week. I will.
Fuck yeah. Best of luck with that, bro.
Thank you, man. I'll see you later, man.
All right.